You people disgust me. Always late, always whining, always making excuses." The slap cracks across LaToya's face. The cafe goes silent. A white manager just struck a black server in front of 20 customers. Karen grabs LaToya's wrist, twisting hard. Tip jar had $70. Now it's $40. Where's my money? I didn't take it, Karen. Karen shoves her into the counter. One call and your girls go to foster care today. LaToya's 6-year-old watches her mama start crying. Please, my babies. Karen leans close. Close at 1 tonight. Open at 5 tomorrow morning. Move before I call the cops. LaToya stumbles to the kitchen, wiping tears. Nobody helps. The black man in the corner booth, the one Karen walked past 3 times without looking quietly, adjusts his phone. He's been recording for 15 minutes. Every slap, every threat, every single word. And what he does in the next 60 seconds will destroy everything Karen thinks she controls. Some people make fatal mistakes. They forget to notice who's watching. 3 days before, Marcus Johnson watched his manager slap an employee. He was in a Hamburg hotel room at 3 a.m., staring at his phone. The screen showed his daughter, Mia, holding a blue ribbon at her science fair. Timestamp 4 hours ago, Philadelphia time. He'd missed it again. Marcus swiped to another photo. 10 years old, Fresh Start Cafe's grand opening. His mother beside him in her Sunday dress, smiling so wide her whole face glowed. 4 months after that photo was taken, she was dead. Heart attack while serving breakfast at a homeless shelter on a freezing February morning. The doctors said she'd been having chest pains for weeks, but kept working. Too busy feeding people who had nothing. She was 62 years old. Marcus remembered her last words in that hospital room, her hand gripping his so tight it hurt. Baby, when you feed people, you feed them with dignity. You promised me that he'd built Fresh Start on that promise. Philadelphia, the city that raised him, the city that collapsed in 2009 and never fully recovered. Marcus watched his neighbors lose jobs, lose houses, lose hope. I watched good people become invisible overnight because one mistake, one bad break, one felony conviction meant nobody would hire them anymore. Fresh Start became his answer to a question nobody was asking. He hired the people nobody else wanted. Former inmates fresh off parole, single mothers with resume gaps and childcare struggles, people rebuilding their lives from absolute zero, one shift at a time. The local news loved it. Then the business journals noticed. Then the speaking invitations started flooding in conferences, workshops, keynotes from New York to Paris about conscious capitalism and doing well by doing good. Marcus became the face of second chance hiring. The entrepreneur who proved you could build a profitable business while actually changing lives. But success demanded a price he hadn't anticipated. More speeches meant more time away from Philadelphia, away from Mia, away from the cafe, away from the people he'd promised to protect. But he told himself it was fine because he had Karen running things. Karen Ellis walked into Fresh Start 10 years ago, carrying everything she owned in 2 garbage bags. Homeless for 9 months after a felony check fraud conviction killed every job application she submitted. Marcus hired her to wash dishes. She showed up early every shift, stayed late to help close, learned the business from the ground up. Prep work, inventory, customer service, bookkeeping. 2 years later, he promoted her to shift supervisor. She cried in his office. Nobody ever believed in me before. I won't let you down, I promise. 3 years after that, he made her operations manager. She'd earned it, ran efficient shifts, managed costs ruthlessly. When Marcus started traveling for speaking engagements, Karen stepped up without being asked. His phone lit up with her latest email. Subject, all green, stay longer, everything's running smoothly, revenue steady, costs controlled, team's great. Take another week in Europe if you want. We've got this. So why was Marcus's stomach twisting into knots? His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Check your people. The sixth text like this in 3 weeks. Always different. Blocked numbers. Always the same 3-word message. He tried calling back. Number disconnected. Another email from his accountant was sent 5 days ago with a red flag. Urgent. Labor costs up 19% in 7 months, but revenues flat. Either someone's stealing or payroll's broken. Look at this now. Marcus had meant to follow up. But then Munich happened. Rotterdam. Hamburg and 500 business leaders giving him a standing ovation. Meanwhile, back in Philadelphia, what was actually happening? He pulled up employee retention data. 7 months ago, 13% annual turnover, industry standard, now 42%. 4 out of every 10 employees had left in half a year. Karen's explanation in her weekly reports: normal churn. Personal reasons, better opportunities. 42% wasn't normal. It was hemorrhaging. Another text arrived. Check your people before it's too late. Someone was desperately trying to tell him something, someone too terrified to use their real name. Marcus made a decision. Opened his laptop. Booked a red-eye flight to Philadelphia. He wouldn't tell Karen. Wouldn't warn anyone. He'd show up and see what happened when nobody knew he was watching. He pulled a card from his wallet. Faded yellow. His mother's handwriting her French toast recipe at the bottom. Feed people with dignity. If someone was destroying that promise, he needed to see it himself. He texted Karen. Conference extended 4 weeks. Paris next. Are you good? 10 seconds later. Always, boss. Don't worry about anything. Marcus stared at those words. For the first time in 5 years, they didn't reassure him. They terrified him. Marcus's flight landed in Philadelphia at 7:42 a.m. He didn't go home. Didn't stop at his daughter's place. Drove straight to a budget inn 3 blocks from the cafe and checked in under a fake name. Room 217. Bare walls, thin carpet, a window overlooking the parking lot. He spread papers across the bed. Bank statements, payroll records, employee files his accountant had sent overnight. The numbers told a story if you knew how to read them. Average weekly payroll 7 months ago, $8,200. Current average $9,980. That's $1,280 more every single week. Over 7 months, that's an extra $44,880 in labor costs. But revenue hadn't grown. Customer counts stayed flat. Menu prices unchanged. So where was that money going? Marcus Cross referenced the payroll reports Karen submitted with the scheduling boards she emailed him weekly. Every employee showed exactly 40 hours. No overtime. Clean records. Too clean. He remembered Jamal Thompson, the kid he'd hired 2 years ago, fresh off parole. Talented line cook who used to work 55, 60-hour weeks because he loved the work. He told Marcus his dream was culinary school. Why would Jamal suddenly cap himself at 40? Marcus pulled up the digital schedule Karen had sent last week. Jamal Thompson, Monday through Friday, 8-hour shifts. Exactly 40 hours total. But then his phone buzzed. Unknown number, a photo attachment. Marcus opened it. The physical scheduling board inside Fresh Start's kitchen, not the digital version Karen sent him, the real one. He zoomed in. Jamal Thompson. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday gent 56 hours, not 40. Latoya Williams. Monday close yet. Tuesday open. Wednesday close yet, p.m. Thursday open p.m. Friday close yet, nashta p.m. a.m. Saturday p.m. Sunday. Close open. Close open. Close open. Barely 6 hours between shifts for sleep. Marcus's hands started shaking. Someone was working them to exhaustion and only paying them for 40 hours. Someone was stealing their wages, stealing their sleep, stealing their lives. He typed a response. Who are you? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Someone who believes in second chances for real. Come to the cafe tomorrow morning, 8:00 a.m. Corner booth. Order toast. Watch the office door. You'll see everything. Tell me your name. Not yet. But she threatened to call immigration on my sister. Said you'd believe her over me. I was scared, but somebody has to stop her. Karen Marcus's chest felt like it was caving in. The woman he'd saved from homelessness. The woman he'd trusted with everything. The woman he'd believed in when nobody else would. She was destroying people. Why didn't you tell me sooner? The response took a full minute. She knows everything about everyone. She knows my sister's undocumented. She showed me the ICE tip line on her phone. Just pulled it up in front of me and smiled. One call, and Maria's deported. What was I supposed to do? Marcus stared at the message until his eyes burned. What's your name? But the number was already disconnected. He looked at the clock. 11:49 p.m. In 8 hours and 13 minutes, he'd walk into his own cafe as a stranger. Marcus pulled items from his bag, a faded Philadelphia Phillies baseball cap, his oldest jacket with a coffee stain on the sleeve, prescription sunglasses he never wore. He'd walk in, sit in that corner booth, order toast, and he'd finally see what happened when he wasn't watching. His phone buzzed one more time. Different number. Thank you for coming home, Mr. Johnson. They needed you here. Marcus typed back. Who is this? No response. He set his alarm for 7:00 a.m. Sleep came in shallow waves. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw his mother's face in that hospital bed. I heard her voice. Feed people with dignity, baby. Promise me he'd made a promise. Tomorrow morning he'd find out if he'd kept it, or if he'd been funding a nightmare while he collected standing ovations 6,000 miles away. Marcus touched the recipe card on the nightstand. His mother's handwriting blurred through tears he didn't know he was crying. Feed people with dignity. Tomorrow he'd see what dignity looked like in the cafe that bore her name. And God help whoever had turned it into something else. Marcus Johnson walked into Fresh Start Cafe at 7:58 a.m., wearing a disguise that made him invisible. The baseball cap pulled low over his eyes, faded jacket with a coffee stain on the sleeve, sunglasses even though the sun hadn't fully risen. Just another tired customer grabbing breakfast before work. The bell above the door chimed. That sound used to mean home. Now it meant something else entirely. The cafe was half full. Construction workers at the big table near the window. A couple of nurses still in scrubs from the night shift. Early commuters hunched over coffee and phones. Nobody looked up when Marcus entered. The smell hit him immediately. Coffee, bacon, grease, toast. But something was missing. The cinnamon. Where was the smell of cinnamon from his mother's famous French toast? Marcus slid into the corner booth. The vinyl squeaked under his weight. From here, he had a clear line of sight to the kitchen, the counter, and Karen's office door. A server approached LaToya Williams. Her employee file said she was 29, but she looked 40. Dark circles carved shadows under her eyes like bruises that wouldn't heal. Her hands gripped the order pad so tight her knuckles went white. Morning, she said. Her voice was flat. Professional autopilot. Coffee, please, and wheat toast. Butter on the side. She wrote it down. Her hand trembled just slightly. The pen tip stuttered across the paper. Coming right up, Marcus watched her walk to the coffee station, watched her pour with hands that shook just enough to slosh liquid over the rim of the cup. She wiped the saucer quickly, efficiently. The muscle memory of someone who'd cleaned up small mistakes 1,000 times. She brought his coffee, set it down carefully. Toast will be right out. Thank you. She almost smiled. Didn't quite make it. Just a brief softening around her mouth before the professional mask locked back into place. From the kitchen, the ticket printer buzzed. Orders backing up. Marcus checked his watch. 8:03 a.m. The morning rush is starting to build. Then Karen emerged from her office. She looked sharp, professional, navy blazer over a white blouse, hair pulled back tight, clipboard in hand. She scanned the dining room with eyes that missed nothing. Her gaze passed over Marcus without pausing. He was nobody, just another customer. Karen walked to the counter where LaToya was refilling a coffee pot. LaToya, front now. LaToya's shoulders tensed. She sat down the pot and hurried over, wiping her hands on her apron. "Yes, ma'am?" Karen's voice was low, but the booth's acoustics carried it perfectly. Marcus had built this place. He knew every sound pocket, every echo. "We need to talk." "Office. Yes, ma'am. Let me just now, LaToya." They disappeared into the office. The door swung half shut, but didn't latch. Marcus shifted in his seat. Through the gap, he could see LaToya standing, Karen sitting behind the desk. The power dynamic was crystal clear. Karen's voice drifted out. Pleasant, controlled, poisonous. "You're closing tonight at 12 us and opening tomorrow at 5 a.m., 5 hours between shifts. And LaToya, your daughter's school called here again? Something about lunch money. They said you haven't paid in 3 weeks. LaToya's response was too quiet to hear, but Marcus saw her body language, saw her fold inward like she was trying to disappear. Karen continued, her voice sweet as antifreeze. "Maybe if you managed your time better, you wouldn't have these problems." She leaned forward. "I'm docking today's pay by 2 hours for yesterday's tardiness. And if I hear one more complaint from that school, we'll discuss whether this job fits someone with your situation." Marcus's coffee mug stopped halfway to his mouth. Through the gap, he saw LaToya's face. The exact moment her spirit broke, her voice came out barely louder than breath. "Yes, ma'am." 2 words so quiet most people would miss them, but Marcus heard them clearly. Those 2 words, that whisper of complete defeat, stopped his blood cold. That was the sound of his mother's promise being shattered, dignity being destroyed. Someone who'd said, "Yes, ma'am," so many times it became an automatic surrender. Karen stood, patted LaToya's shoulder. "I know it's hard, but Mr. Johnson built this place for people willing to work hard. You do appreciate your second chance, don't you?" "Yes, ma'am." "Good. Get back to work." "Good." "Get back." LaToya walked out, eyes red but dry. She'd learned not to cry where Karen could see. Marcus's hands clenched around the mug. This was the whisper. This was what happened when he wasn't watching, and he'd been gone for 19 months. Marcus's toast arrived 5 minutes later. Jamal Thompson brought it. Early 20s, lean and muscular with tattoos running up both forearms and burn scars on his hands from years of kitchen work. Marcus recognized him from the hiring photo 2 years ago. Wheat toast, butter on the side. Jamal sat down the plate. "Anything else I can get you? This looks great." "Hey, you make the French toast here?" Jamal's face flickered, pride mixed with something else. Resignation, maybe. "Yeah. When we got the ingredients for it, the kitchen's been running pretty lean lately. I heard this place used to be famous for French toast. The owner's mother had some special recipe." Jamal glanced toward Karen's office, lowered his voice. "We don't use that recipe anymore. The manager changed suppliers about 7 months ago. Cheaper bread, margarine instead of butter, no cinnamon," he shrugged. "Saves money," she says. "Not my call." Marcus felt something crack inside his chest. His mother's recipe. The one single thing he'd asked Karen to protect, changed for profit margins. "Thanks," Marcus managed. Jamal nodded and headed back to the kitchen. Marcus bit into the toast. Dry, flavorless, wrong. He pulled the small recipe card from his jacket pocket, looked at it under the table. His mother's cursive handwriting, thick-cut challah bread, real butter, cinnamon, vanilla extract, pinch of nutmeg, Feed people with dignity. This toast had no dignity, just cost-cutting dressed up as breakfast. At the counter, Karen was counting the tip jar. Marcus watched her count bills, write a number in a small notebook, then pocket 3 20s before writing a different number in the official logbook. $60 just gone. A customer at table 4 left a $5 bill under their plate and walked out. LaToya cleared the table, saw the tip, pocketed it as she headed to the kitchen. Karen materialized beside her. Did table 4 leave anything? LaToya's face went carefully blank. $5, ma'am. Tip pool. LaToya, you know the rules. LaToya pulled the crumpled bill from her apron and handed it over. Karen smiled. See, teamwork. She walked away. Marcus watched her add that 5 to the pile she'd skimmed, stealing from people who made $2.35 an hour before tips. The door opened. Jamal walked in, saw Karen, and his whole body went rigid. Karen smiled. Jamal, come here, please. The line cook emerged from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a towel. Yes, ma'am. Your paycheck last week. You wanted to discuss it? Jamal glanced around. 20 people watching. Could we maybe talk in the office? No need. You worked 40 hours. You got paid for 40 hours. Is there a problem? Jamal's jaw clenched. The schedule showed me at 52 hours, ma'am. I thought maybe there was a mistake in payroll. Karen's eyebrows rose. The time clock showed 40 hours, Jamal. Are you saying the time clock is wrong? No, ma'am. I just thought because if you're saying the time clock is wrong, we'll need to investigate. Pull all your hours for the past 7 months, including that week you called in sick, but I saw you posted photos from Hershey Park. Her smile was nice. Do you want me to review everything, Jamal? Or do you trust that the time clock is accurate? Jamal's face went pale. The time clock is accurate, ma'am. Good. And Jamal, your parole officer called yesterday. Told him you were doing great here. Reliable. Trustworthy. She paused. I'd hate to have to change that assessment. Jamal's hands curled into fists. He forced them open. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Back to work. Jamal retreated to the kitchen. Marcus's vision blurred. Karen wasn't just stealing wages. She was building a prison, using people's pasts, their parole officers, their criminal records as bars and chains. The door chimed. A little girl walked in. 6 years old. Worn backpack hanging off thin shoulders, pink jacket with a missing button. She spotted LaToya. Mommy! LaToya spun. Her face went from exhausted to terrified. Jada, baby, what are you doing here? You forgot to leave lunch money. Mrs. Patterson said I should come find you before school. Karen appeared. LaToya, is this your daughter? Yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry. Your child is in the restaurant during business hours during the breakfast rush. This is a workplace, LaToya, not a daycare. I know, ma'am. I just forgot money this morning. You're always running late, and now your personal life is interfering with your professional responsibilities. LaToya knelt down fast, fumbled with her apron pocket, pulled out her wallet. Marcus watched her count what was inside. $6. That was it. She pulled out all 6 and pressed them into her daughter's hands. Here, baby, get lunch today and tomorrow. Mommy will bring more on Friday. Okay. But Mommy, what about your lunch? I'm fine, sweetheart. I'll eat here. A lie. Go to school now. Be good. I love you. Jada hugged her mother's neck. LaToya held her for exactly 3 seconds. Then she gently pushed her away. Go on now. You'll be late. Jada left. LaToya stood, stared at the empty wallet in her hands. Karen leaned in close, whispered, Get it together, LaToya, or I'll document this as another incident of instability. And we both know your caseworker is watching. Yes, ma'am. Marcus watched LaToya walk to the bathroom. His phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Mr. Johnson. Table 12. I know it's you. We need to talk. A woman at table 12 was staring at him. Dark hair, early 30s, wearing a fresh start apron. Sofia Hernandez. She stood. I walked toward the back hallway, glanced over her shoulder. Marcus left cash on the table and followed. The back hallway was narrow, smelled like bleach and old grease. Sofia stood by the emergency exit. "You're him," she said quietly. "You're Marcus Johnson." Not a question. "How did you know?" "I've seen your picture in the office and you've been sitting in that booth for 45 minutes watching everything. You're the one who's been getting the texts, aren't you?" Marcus nodded. "That was you." Sofia's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry I didn't use my name. I'm sorry I waited so long. But she threatened me. She threatened my sister." "Tell me, my sister Maria lives with me. She's undocumented. Karen found out 7 months ago. She pulled up the ICE tip line on her phone right in front of me. Just showed it to me and smiled. Said one call and Maria would be deported within 48 hours. How long has Karen been doing this to you?" 15 months since you started traveling more. At first it was small, an hour here, an hour there. But it got worse. Sofia pulled out her phone, showed Marcus a screenshot. "She sells our information to payday loan companies. $50 per name. I got 12 calls last week from places I never contacted." Marcus stared at the image. A spreadsheet, employee names, phone numbers, addresses, a column labeled referral fee $50. "It's not just me," Sofia said. "It's everyone. LaToya, Jamal, all of us. She knows everything about everybody and she uses it every single day. Why didn't anyone tell me? Because you were never here. 2 employees tried calling you 7 months ago. Karen found out. One got fired the next day for stealing. The other had hours cut from 40 to 12. Both quit within a week. How many hours did you work last week? 54. How many did you get paid for? 40. And LaToya, 68 hours. Paid for 40. Close open shifts for 3 weeks straight. 5 hours of sleep between shifts." Sofia's voice broke. I found her crying in the walk-in freezer last week. Marcus's hands started shaking. "I need to see Karen's office." Sofia pulled a key from her pocket. "I made a copy of her desk key 7 months ago. Been too scared to use it." She pressed it into his palm. "Bottom drawer, 2 sets of time cards. Ledger with everything." "When?" "Tonight. After close. I'll let you in through the back. She'll know. I don't care anymore. Somebody has to stop her, and you're the only person who can." LaToya emerged from the bathroom, saw them talking. Her eyes went wide. Sofia grabbed Marcus's arm. "Go now." Before Karen sees, Marcus walked back through the dining room, put on his sunglasses, pulled his cap lower. Karen was at the register. She didn't even glance his way. He pushed through the door. Outside, the morning sun felt too bright. The street is too normal. Marcus sat in his car for 10 minutes, hands gripping the steering wheel. Mother's recipe card on the dashboard. Feed people with dignity. He'd made a promise and he'd broken it by being absent. But tonight, he was getting proof. Tonight, he was getting evidence. And tomorrow morning, Karen Ellis was going to learn what happened when you turned someone's legacy into a nightmare. 19 hours until Sofia led him into that office. 19 hours until he saw exactly how deep this went. And then Karen would answer for every stolen dollar, every broken spirit, every whispered, "Yes, ma'am," every single one. The cafe closed at 12 a.m. Marcus waited in his car 3 blocks away until his phone buzzed at 12:43 a.m. Sofia's text. "Back door now." He drove around to the alley behind Fresh Start. The streetlight above the dumpster had burned out months ago. Sofia stood in the shadows by the emergency exit, the door propped open with a brick. "She left 10 minutes ago," Sofia whispered. "We got maybe 30 minutes before the overnight cleaning crew shows up." Marcus followed her inside. The kitchen was dark, except for the red glow of emergency exit signs. The smell of grease and old coffee hung in the air. Sophia led him to Karen's office. The door was locked. She pulled out the copied key. "Bottom drawer of the desk," she said. "That's where she keeps everything." The key turned. The lock clicked. Marcus sat down at the desk. "Pull open the bottom drawer. 2 stacks of time cards. One labeled payroll, one labeled actual." He grabbed both stacks, set them side by side. Latoya Williams payroll, Varick hours actual, Octan Zestic hours, 28 hours stolen, Sophia Hernandez payroll, Varick hours actual, Varick hours 14 hours stolen, Jamal Thompson payroll 40 hours, actual 52 hours 12 hours stolen, card after card, every single employee 2 sets. The difference 20 to 30 hours per person per week just vanished into Karen's pocket. Marcus pulled out his phone, started photographing everything. "There's more," Sophia said quietly. She reached into the drawer and pulled out a black composition notebook. Marcus opened it. Karen's handwriting. "Every page is a record. Every theft is documented. Week of April 3 to 9. Latoya Williams, 68 hours worked, 40 paid. Profit $420. Leverage bench warrant parking tickets. Caseworker monitoring custody. Sophia Hernandez, 54 hours worked, 40 paid. Profit $294. Leverage Sister Maria undocumented. Jamal Thompson, 52 hours worked, 40 paid. Profit $240. Leverage parole officer." He flipped through the pages. 19 months of entries, week after week, 14 employees. Average theft is about $300 per week. 19 months, over $300,000 stolen. But it wasn't just money. She'd created a system of terror, used people's deepest fears: deportation, arrest, losing their children as insurance against exposure. Sophia reached into the drawer again, pulled out a folder labeled CYA, Cover Your Ass. Inside, forged documents, employee signatures on forms they'd never signed, fake complaints backdated to create paper trails. At the bottom of the folder, a document that made Marcus's blood run cold. A draft complaint. Sexual harassment allegation against Marcus Johnson. Dated 3 weeks ago. Forged signature at the bottom. Latoya Williams. Karen had been planning to destroy him. If he ever found out what she was doing, she had this ready. Marcus photographed everything. Every page, every document, every time card. "There's something else," Sophia said. She turned to Karen's computer, typed in a password. "How do you know her password?" "I watched her type it once." The screen lit up. Sophia opened the email folder. Vendor contracts. Karen had switched to cheaper suppliers for everything. She'd kept charging Marcus for premium ingredients, pocketed the difference, the French toast recipe, changed from challah and real butter to white bread and margarine. Difference: $340 per month into Karen's pocket. Sophia clicked another folder. A spreadsheet appeared. Employee names, phone numbers, home addresses, social security numbers, column header, referral fee. Karen had been selling employee information to predatory payday loan companies. $50 per referral. Marcus's phone alarm buzzed. 114A. "We need to go," Sophia said. Marcus took one last photo. Then everything was closed. Everything. Put the time cards back exactly as he'd found them. Shut down the computer, locked the drawer. They walked back through the dark kitchen out the emergency exit. Sophia pulled the brick, let the door close. "What are you going to do?" she asked. Marcus looked at his phone. In the photos. On the evidence of 19 months of systematic theft and terror. "Tomorrow morning," he said quietly. 8 a.m., I'm walking in that front door. No disguise, no hiding, and I'm calling a staff meeting. Sophia's eyes went wide. "You're going to confront her in front of everyone?" She humiliated them in public. She threatened them in public. Marcus's voice was still. So, yeah, in front of everyone. She's going to answer for every single thing she's done. She'll deny it. Marcus held up his phone. I have proof. Every time card, every ledger entry, every forged document, her own handwriting. Sophia smiled for the first time in months. I'll be there. Good. Because after tomorrow, things are going to change. Marcus got in his car. In 7 hours, Karen Ellis was going to learn what happened when you betrayed the person who saved you. And this time, there would be witnesses. Marcus Johnson walked into Fresh Start Cafe at 8:15 a.m. the next morning. No baseball cap, no sunglasses, no disguise, just a suit, a tie, and a phone full of evidence. The morning rush was in full swing. The bell chimed. Conversations died. Forks froze. LaToya was refilling coffee at table 3. She looked up, saw him. The pot slipped from her hands and shattered on the floor. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'll clean it up. Leave it, LaToya, Marcus said gently. It's okay. From the kitchen. Jamal's face appeared in the window. His eyes went wide. Sophia stood at the dish station. She met Marcus's gaze and nodded. Karen emerged from her office, holding her clipboard, navy blazer, hair pulled back tight. Her smile was bright. Practiced. Mr. Johnson, what a wonderful surprise. I didn't know you were back. Karen, Marcus's voice cut through the room. I need you to gather everyone, all staff, right now. We're having a meeting. Karen's smile faltered. Of course. Is everything okay? Everyone now? Something in his tone made her stop talking. She turned to the kitchen. Jamal, Sophia, front of house. Everyone out here. The staff emerged slowly. Jamal wiping his hands, Sophia drying hers, 2 other servers, a prep cook, the dishwasher. They lined up near the counter. Customers watched. Nobody left. Marcus stood in the center of the dining room. My name is Marcus Johnson. I own this cafe. He looked at LaToya. 3 days ago, I sat in that corner booth, ordered toast, watched, listened, and what I saw broke my heart. He pulled out his phone. LaToya Williams, come here, please. LaToya approached, hands shaking. I'm going to ask you a question in front of everyone. You're not in trouble. You're safe. Do you understand? She nodded, tears forming. How many hours did you work last week? Her voice barely a whisper. 68, sir. How many did you get paid for? 4. Marcus turned to the room. Let that sink in. Jamal, same question. How many hours did you work? Jamal's jaw clenched. 52, sir. Paid for? 40. Sophia. Sophia stepped forward. 54 hours worked, 40 paid. Marcus looked at Karen. She was still holding her clipboard, knuckles white. According to the official payroll records you submit to me, everyone works exactly 40 hours. No overtime. He held up his phone. But last night I found something in your office. 2 sets of time cards. One labeled payroll, one labeled actual. Want to explain why there are 2 different records? Karen's mouth opened. Closed. Mr. Johnson, I can explain. There's been a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Marcus's voice was ice. Is that what we're calling theft? He swiped to another photo. Hold it up. This is your handwriting, your ledger. Let me read an entry. He looked at LaToya. LaToya Williams, 68 hours worked, 40 paid. Profit $420. Leverage, bench warrant, caseworker monitoring custody. The room went dead silent. LaToya made a small sound like something breaking. Marcus continued. You documented everything. Every stolen dollar. Every threat. Sophia's undocumented sister. Jamal's parole officer. You wrote it all down. Karen's face lost all color. You went through my desk. You had no right. I own the building. I own the desk. Marcus's voice was still. $300,000. That's how much you stole from 14 people over 19 months. People who came here because they needed a second chance. His voice cracked. He looked at Latoya, at Sophia, at Jamal. "I'm sorry, I should have been here. I failed you." Then he turned back to Karen. "You're fired. Effective immediately. I want you out in 5 minutes." Karen's mask shattered. "You can't do this. I have rights. I'll sue for wrongful termination." Marcus held up his phone. "I have 19 months of documented theft, forged records, proof you sold employee information to payday loan companies." He paused. "And a draft sexual harassment complaint dated 3 weeks ago, forged Latoya's signature, planning to frame me if I found out." Karen's face went gray. "Walk out now or I call the police and you walk out in handcuffs. Your decision." Karen didn't move. Then she set down her clipboard, took off her blazer, laid it on the counter. "You self-righteous hypocrite," she hissed. "You abandoned this place. I kept it running while you played hero across the world. You kept it running by enslaving people I hired to protect. Get out!" Karen looked around the room at the employees she'd terrorized, at the customers watching. Nobody met her eyes. She walked toward the door. At the threshold, she turned back. "You gave me a second chance and look what happened. Your program is a joke. People like us. We don't change." Marcus's voice was steel. "You're wrong. People can change. You just chose not to." Karen left. The bell chimed as the door closed. Nobody moved. Then Latoya started crying. Deep shaking sobs. Sophia wrapped her arms around her. Jamal stood there, hands in fists, breathing hard. Marcus looked at all of them. "I'm sorry, but starting right now, things change. All of it." A customer at table 6 stood up. She pulled out a business card, walked over to Latoya. "I'm a labor attorney. I heard everything. If you want to file charges, I'll represent you. Pro bono." Latoya took the card with shaking hands. Marcus looked at his employees. "We're going to make this right. Every stolen dollar, every hour, everything. I promise you that." Sophia stepped forward. "What happens now?" Marcus took a breath. "Now we rebuilt together the right way." 4 hours later, Marcus sat in his office with Latoya, Sophia, and Jamal. The cafe was still open. Customers are still eating, but everything felt different now, lighter. Marcus had a notebook open, a pen in his hand, and a promise to keep. "First things first," he said. "The money. Every dollar Karen stole gets paid back with interest." He slid 3 envelopes across the desk. Latoya opened hers, stared at the check inside. $6,240. Her hands started shaking. I can pay rent, catch up on everything, my kids." She broke down crying, but this time the tears were different. Sophia opened hers. 4,220, she pressed it against her chest. Jamal opened his. 3,960. He just stared at it. "That's every hour Karen stole from you over 19 months, Marcus said. Plus 15% interest. It doesn't fix what she did, but it's a start." "How did you calculate it so fast?" Jamal asked. "I didn't sleep. Went through every time card. Did the math. Called my accountant at 6 a.m. Marcus leaned back. "Everyone who worked here during Karen's time gets a check. 14 people, $98,900. What about the rest?" Sophia asked. "You said over $300,000 tips, vendor kickbacks, payday loan referrals." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Harder to trace. But I'm hiring a forensic accountant. Whatever we recover goes back to you." Latoya wiped her eyes. "Why are you doing this?" "Because it's right, and because I should have been here." He opened his notebook. "Paying you back isn't enough. We need to make sure this never happens again, which means we change how this place runs." He looked at them. "I'm restructuring Fresh Start as a worker cooperative. Anyone here longer than a year becomes part owner. You'll own equity, share in profits, have real power." They stared at him. "We'd own part of this," Latoya asked. "You built this place while I was gone. Now you'll benefit." Marcus pulled out a document. "I keep 51%. You and other employees split 49% by tenure and hours. Every quarter, 40% of profits are split among employee owners. Jamal leaned forward. What if we make bad decisions? Then we'll screw up together and fix it together. Marcus flipped pages. Second, Employee Council. 5 elected members veto power over major decisions: hiring, firing managers, policy changes, vendor contracts. I can't fire anyone without council approval. Council can override me with majority vote. You're giving us power to vote against you, Sophia asked. I'm giving you power to protect yourselves, he made a note. Third, transparent systems. Everything is digital cloud-based time tracking. Everyone can access scheduling posted 2 weeks ahead. No more manual cards. Karen can manipulate. Payroll auto-calculates over time. No overrides without council approval. LaToya was taking notes now. Fourth, I'm not traveling anymore. No speaking tours, no conferences. I'm here 30 hours minimum per week on the floor. What about business management? Jamal asked. I'm hiring a COO for the business side, but you'll help with the interview. Council has to approve whoever I hire. Marcus met their eyes. I'm done being absent. He turned pages. Fifth, the Second Chance program. We're keeping it, but rewriting it with your input. Anonymous complaint hotline, third-party mandatory management training, trauma-informed supervision, and a rule. Sophia said, make it illegal to use someone's past against them. What Karen did threatening immigration status, parole officers, caseworkers, automatic termination. Marcus wrote it down. Vulnerability shield policy. Using an employee's legal status, criminal record, or personal situation as leverage means immediate termination. What else? They spent 2 hours building it. Peer mentorship. LaToya volunteered to mentor the next single mom hired. Fair scheduling. No close open shifts without consent and premium pay. Profit-sharing transparency. Everyone sees numbers. When done, Marcus looked at the list. One more thing. The recipe. He pulled out his mother's recipe card. Karen changed my mother's French toast recipe to save money. Cheaper bread, margarine instead of butter. No cinnamon. His voice was thick. His voice was, we're going back to the original. Don't care if it costs more. We'll raise the price, but we're not compromising. He laid the card on the desk. My mama said, feed people with dignity. That's not just words. That's how we cook, how we treat employees, how we run this place. LaToya reached out and touched the card gently. We'll honor it, she said. I promise. Marcus nodded, couldn't speak for a moment. Okay, he cleared his throat. Employee council elections happen next week. I'm nominating you 3, but everyone votes. Sophia smiled. What if we don't get elected? Then I'll trust whoever does. They stood up, started to leave. At the door, LaToya turned back. Mr. Johnson, thank you for coming back, for seeing us. Marcus shook his head. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when this works, when you feel safe, when you can feed your kids without choosing between rent and food. I already feel different, she said quietly. For the first time in 19 months, I'm not scared. After they left, Marcus sat alone. His phone buzzed. Text from Mia. Dad, someone posted a video of this morning. You're trending. People are calling you a hero. Marcus looked at his mother's recipe card on the desk. He wasn't a hero. He was just a man who'd failed people, learned from it, and was trying to do better. That would have to be enough. Let me count more carefully and create a tighter version. 7 weeks later, LaToya Williams walked into Fresh Start Cafe at 9 a.m. on a Saturday. Not for work, she was bringing her daughters for breakfast. Jada and Kayla bounced through the door ahead of her. Mommy, can we sit in a booth? Jada asked. Any booth you want, baby. They chose the corner booth, the one where Marcus had sat 7 weeks ago. Sophia saw them, smiled, walked over with coloring pages and crayons. "Good morning, ladies. What can I get you?" "French toast," Kayla shouted. "Please," Latoya corrected. "French toast, please," Kayla amended. Sophia wrote it down. The real recipe coming right up. She headed to the kitchen, called the order to Jamal. Marcus was already there working the grill alongside Jamal. 32 hours this week, Latoya's girls? Jamal asked. Yeah, first time since everything. Marcus cracked eggs, started whisking. Then we make it perfect. Jamal prepped the challah bread thick cut. Marcus mixed eggs, vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, real butter melted in the pan. The smell filled the kitchen. That smell was missing for 19 months. "You know what's different now?" Jamal said. "What? I don't dread coming here anymore. Used to wake up with my stomach in knots. Now I look forward to it." Marcus nodded. Couldn't speak. The French toast came out golden brown. Marcus plated it. Powdered sugar, fresh strawberries, real maple syrup. "Can I take it out?" he asked. Jamal smiled. "It's your cafe?" "No, it's ours." Marcus carried the plates to the corner booth. "French toast for two beautiful young ladies." Jada looked up. "You're Mr. Johnson. Mommy talks about you." "Does she?" "She says you're the reason she smiles now." Marcus cleared his throat. "Your mom's the reason this place is still standing." He looked at Latoya. She had tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she mouthed. At the counter, Sophia was counting tips from yesterday. The new system, transparent, digital, fair, no skimming. Her sister, Maria, sat there, eating breakfast before her shift. She worked here now, 3 days a week, documented, safe. The council had voted to create a legal fund, pulled resources from Maria and 2 other employees, hired a lawyer, did it right. Sophia caught Marcus's eye, smiled. At table 6, a new hirer took her first solo order. Kesha, 26, single mom. Latoya had mentored her. "You're safe here, I promise." Now Kesha's hands weren't shaking. Progress. The morning rush built. Orders flew. The kitchen hummed. At 11 a.m., Marcus's phone buzzed. Reminder, employee council meeting at 12 p.m. Elections happened 4 weeks ago. Latoya, Sophia, Jamal won seats. 2 other long-time employees rounded out the council. Today's agenda: COO applications. Council would interview the final 3 candidates next week. Marcus got 1 vote, same as everyone else. Democracy. At 11:30, Marcus untied his apron. "I'm out. Council meeting at 30. We got this," Jamal said. Marcus stopped at the corner booth. Jada and Kayla had demolished their French toast. Powdered sugar covered their faces. "How was it? Best ever?" Kayla said. Jada nodded. "It tastes like Grandma's pancakes before she went to heaven." Latoya's eyes filled with tears. "My mom used to make French toast every Saturday. I haven't been able to afford to take them out in." "What a long time." "Well," Marcus said, "you've got an ownership stake in this place now. You can bring them as often as you want." Latoya laughed through tears. "Family discount for the owners." "Exactly." At 12 p.m., the council gathered in the office that used to be Karen's. They'd repainted it, put up a new sign, employee council room. 5 people sat around the table. "Okay," Latoya said, opening her notebook. She was council chair. "First order, COO applications. 3 finalists. Marcus, you want to present?" Marcus presented. The council asked questions, debated, voted. Marcus's first choice voted down. 4-2. The council's choice someone Marcus had ranked 3rd. "All in favor?" Latoya asked. 5 hands went up, including Marcus's. "Motion carries. We'll schedule interviews next week." After the meeting, Marcus walked back to the kitchen. Through the window, he could see Latoya and her daughters leaving. Jada skipped. Kayla held her mother's hand. Latoya was smiling. Marcus looked at his mother's recipe card. framed now, hanging on the wall by the grill. Feed people with dignity. Finally, after 19 months of failure, he was keeping that promise. Not alone. Together, the way it should have been from the start. 1 year later, Marcus Johnson stood at the grill on a Tuesday morning making French toast for the breakfast rush. Beside him, Jamal Thompson, now executive chef and part owner, was training a new line cook. Thick challah, real butter, cinnamon. See how it smells? That's dignity. The new cook nodded, taking notes. At the counter, LaToya Williams, now assistant general manager and council chair, was going over quarterly profit-sharing numbers with Sofia Hernandez, who'd just been promoted to floor manager. 40% of profits are split among employee owners, LaToya said. $1,800 per person this quarter. Sofia smiled. Maria's going to cry. She's been saving for citizenship fees. In the corner booth, a reporter from the Philadelphia Inquirer was interviewing Marcus about worker cooperatives. So, a year after exposing your manager's wage theft, the reporter said, "What's changed?" Marcus looked around the cafe. Employee retention 96%, revenue up 43%, complaints 0, everything. Marcus said, "We stopped treating employees like expenses and started treating them like partners. When people feel valued, they build something worth valuing." The reporter scribbled notes. And Karen Ellis facing charges. Wage theft, fraud, identity theft. Any regrets? Marcus thought about that. I regret not being here, not seeing it sooner, not protecting people I promised to protect. He paused. But I'm grateful for the second chance to make it right. After the interview, Marcus walked through the dining room. I watched LaToya laugh with customers. I watched Jamal teach with patience. Watched Sofia count tips fairly. His phone buzzed. Text from Mia. "Proud of you, Dad. See you for dinner tonight. Wouldn't miss it." Marcus pulled out his mother's recipe card, looked at her handwriting one more time. Feed people with dignity. He'd failed that promise once. He wouldn't fail it again. LaToya stayed silent for 19 months. Sofia was terrified for 15. Jamal swallowed his questions for 2 years. They all thought no one would believe them, that speaking up would cost them everything. But someone was finally paying attention. If you've ever felt invisible at work, if you've ever been told to stay quiet when everything inside you wanted to scream, leave a comment below, because thousands of people watching this have been exactly where you are. And if this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Because stories like LaToya's only change things when people like you refuse to let them stay hidden. Change doesn't happen when we stay silent. It happens when we find the courage to